Hey, and welcome to Glue Monday. Yes, another week begins. And you know, the funny thing is, weeks always begin. Sometimes we forget that. Have you ever thought, have you even thought about that? Sometimes we forget that a week begins because we forget that a day begins. And so that's where we can get caught up in complaining and feeling down about things that are going on. But guess what? You're here to complain. So I think that's just a blessing. Hey, but that's just me being positive. Look, if you this is your first time with me, Glue Monday is actually born from Glue Wednesday. Glue Wednesday, I created 3 years ago based on people always saying that Wednesday was hump day because it was the middle of a 5-day work week. And we didn't even take into account what was going on for the weekend. We just looked at the week Monday to Friday. And so therefore it was Wednesday was called hump day. Well, because of my creativity and vocabulary sensitivity, I decided that Wednesday is actually the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of when you work. And so Wednesday is the day that brings the week beginning and the week end together. So it's the glue. And notice it puts us right in a prayerful mode. And that's why I say glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Not that it will tear things apart, but that whatever is torn apart, whatever trials, tribulations, and situations we're going through, God's love will bring them back together in His time. That just becomes sometimes a challenge. And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. We've got less than 3 minutes to go for the message. I always come on early so that Facebook can build the audience and let people know, hey, Sporty's on. Okay, Steve can't stay, but I've got to throw his message up there. And Steve can't say, I can't stay, but save me a seat. And see, this is one of the blessings of friendship, of true friendship. And again, we're talking about pace today, and you have to pace your friendships and relationships. And Steve and I, thank you, Steve. Much love to you as well. But Steve, back from the day I met him at the National Speakers Association conference, that's become our little joke about saving me a seat. And so we always have to make sure we do that. So continue to honor the people who have those special relationships in your life. And so thanks again, Steve, and makes a difference. And then here's my Roger Carroll. We got less than 3 minutes to go for the message. And this is one of the blessings that we get as well on the Glue broadcast, as people coming in and meeting one another and developing those friendships. So Roger Carroll, Haas, you'll see him as Jose Valencia, and Victor and Tony, they always say, hey, everybody, and then they say goodbye. Of course, I'm pressuring them now. They have to say it because they said it. But of course, it's just good to see that. Thanks, Steve. You be well, too. All right, and we got a first time on there. Hey, what's up, Lady D Wells? DJ of the century in New York City. And so it's good to see you on here. So, okay, we got less than 2 minutes to go for today's message. And so, so you'll see people coming on saying, hey, Lady D, and then Zet comes on, hey, Zet, and then, hey, Vic, and then Carolyn comes on. And then I want to send out a blessing to my friend and family, Carolyn Simmons. We lost her younger sister, Felicia, and last week. And so we'll be celebrating her this week as well. So, it's just a lot of great things going on, y'all. And I spend the time counting the blessings. We got less than a minute to go. Didn't I tell y'all this was gonna happen? You see, Vic came on and said, hey, Lady D. So, this is part of the joy. Y'all, look for the joy in your life. Yeah, we can find the nonsense and the problems. They're there. In fact, you don't have to find them. All you have to do is be in position, and then you end up accepting them. They're coming, but you have to accept them. Accept them. Don't accept them. Let them come, hit, and keep going. It's a tough thing. Can you be up and positive 365, 24/7? I say no. I know I can't, but I can be up more than I'm down. I can be positive more than I'm negative, and I can be going forward more than I'm going backwards. And as I remind people to control your vocabulary rather than allowing your vocabulary to control you, going backwards can be reframed to stepping back and taking a look at your work and just giving yourself credit for all you've overcome, because we don't spend enough time giving ourselves credit for all we overcome. So I thank you for joining the broadcast. and just say, make sure that you continue to step back and take a look at your work. Okay. Vic, are you leaving? Is that why you say peace out? Maybe you got to be in a hurry today. You might have said that already. Okay. Anyway, let's get on with today's message, because it's now 1:00. And today's message I'm going to be bringing you from two of my books, Ac-Firmations and from Starting Today. Ac-Firmations are acronyms that are become affirmations, because what I do is an acronym, people just take the letters of a word and it says, like FYI, for your information. FYI doesn't really mean for your information, but those are the letters that the words start with. What I do is I like to take a word and take the letters and give the letters a word that mean what the word stood for. Okay, so my favorite one that most people know is faith. Let's go with faith, FAITH, feeling as if there's hope. That's what faith is, feeling as if there's hope. So that's why I call them Ac-Firmations. And then also I'll be bringing you a quote from Starting Today. Starting Today is the book that I created. I used to be on WGN TV's Minority Business Report back in Chicago. I gave the inspirational message every week from 99 to 2001. And I created these 30-second sayings. And I took my first 73 and put them in a book and called it Starting Today, because that show had progressed in the name of the titles of the segment, and Starting Today became the last segment title for it. And it was named, Starting Today. Every day we start a new day. And so the book actually becomes like a journal for you, because what I've done with it is, and I can show you it actually, what I've done with it is that I'll put a saying, and then I'll put my inspirational saying, and then at the bottom, see it says Starting Today, I will. And so you read the inspirational saying, and then you may decide, starting today, I'm going to do this based on that saying. And so that's why you see I also have the little calendar looking thing, like a daily calendar we flip over, because we put our to-do list on there. So you say, this is what I'm going to do today. So that's why I call that Starting Today. All right. So that's where I'll be bringing it to you from. But our message, wait, one quick edit before I go in there, because I just caught this. Dun, 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 dun. And I didn't even need to tell you, but bam, I don't mind being honest. It said Glue Friday, but it's Glue Monday. And our topic is, what is your pace? What is your pace? Now, pace, we know it's a noun and a verb. For a noun, it's a tempo, it's a speed, it's a routine that we have. That's what's your pace. Okay, but a verb, pace is also a verb. It's when you walk. What is your pace? Is it a fast pace? And it's to precede. So those are two those synonyms for pace. But I bring that up because I've got 3 affirmations for pace that I'm going to be using today. And the ground premise is that everyone develops at their own pace, and it can be tough waiting for them because we superimpose our time frame on their pace, which equates to a limit and sometimes false expectation based on research instead of real stuff. See, sometimes we decide what someone else's pace should be based on where they fall into the research. And so that's actually what I'm going to be sharing from my Starting Today. But I'll give you the Starting Today one, then I'll give you some of that research type stuff we tend to hear. But this one, this saying is called know better. Know better. You're 13 now, you should know better. Have you ever said that to a child? More importantly, have you ever asked yourself why they should know what at which age? And when did you really learn the lessons you know today in your life and business? Neither actually comes with a rule book, does it? Your success must mature according to who you are. We all learn at a different pace. And so that's what I'm saying. We've said it, I like to use children analogies because everybody has been a child, and then everyone has spoken to a child and heard some of these cliches, especially if you're a parent, because y'all get this book apparently of things that parents have to say. Have you ever thought about that? You know, because parents say the things that, okay, God, oh, do they have to say that? And then you even hear yourself, oh, I'm sounding like my mother, I'm sounding like my father. Okay, but the joy is that we learn through repetition. And some of these things that we think we don't like, when we're experiencing them as we mature, we find out, yes, now I get it, and now I want to use it, and so I will. But that's what we have to remember, is we all mature and learn at a different pace. So when we're saying to the kids, you should know better, there's not, who says, who, what did you know at 13? Why would you think that a 13-year-old child should know something that you as a 23, 33, 43, 53, 63-year-old person actually is still practicing? So why should they, all together just know that? That's minor. But that's one, like I said, I think is more close to the heart. But when I say the research, it's when we say, oh, well, these types of people do this, age such and such, the generation X, the generation Z, men, women, tall, short, different races, different education. We put people in these boxes and define them by the research based on what the people before them, who came before them, did, and therefore now we measure them against the past. And all in the same breath, we're wanting someone to be innovative and be as unique as they can be, but we're measuring them against the past statistics. Don't you know that when there is research, and let me use a small number. Research said, if Family Feud, right? Don't they say, based on surveys of 100 people, that 101st person would have changed that research, could have changed that research all the way around. So think about how you classify people based on your pace, the pace you think they should have based on your research, instead of real stuff based on who they are. Okay, so maybe you need to know better than to do that. So our first look at pace, for us as I'm going to keep that, we all learn at a different pace. I'm going to keep that going. But my first acronym for PACE is patiently allowing and cultivating empathy. You see, a patient pace can sometimes be mistaken as procrastination. And I put that meme on my site today, so you can get a chance to check that out. But it explains it fully. Patiently allowing and cultivating empathy. That's what I'm calling, what some people are calling it, procrastination. And I'm just calling it pace. Procrastination put to good use can be disguised as patience. So someone else may think you're procrastinating, but you're putting it to good use while you're not doing X, Y, Z. And so therefore, maybe you should be calling it patience rather than procrastination. You be the judge of your pace by looking at your process, your progress, and your production. So if you know that you're taking the steps, you know why you're doing it at a slow pace, somebody else is going to be the know better people. Hey, this should be done already. And I'm not saying disobey an order at your job, or based on a time deadline and time limit, but let's look also at your life. Just look at all of these things. Even in your job, when they have deadlines, they have you in position based on your ability to meet certain deadlines. So they wouldn't have put you there if they didn't think you could meet the deadline. So that's a different way of looking at things. But what I'm saying is, you are able to do what you do, but you have to do it according to your pace. Sometimes you speed your pace up, sometimes you slow your pace down. It's just like balance. It's not always one flavor or one tempo. But too often we don't take the time to appreciate what we've created, accomplished, and been blessed with. See, that's what I'm saying about pace. Someone else is going to call it your procrastination, but you're being patient. Slow down and appreciate what you've accomplished. Remember, I said at the beginning, step back and take a look at your work. You're not going backwards. Step back and take a look at your work. 365, 24/7 is a long time and a very hard time and an impossible time to stay positive, I think. But if you just positive more than negative, up more than down, going forward than more than going backwards. But don't worry about going backwards. Consider yourself stepping back and taking a look at what you've accomplished, because you've accomplished something that no one else was able to do. in many cases, or maybe just no one else was able to do it that day. And so they needed you. So we need you to be in control of who you are. But recognize that you were not made to be rewarded, but not constrained, not restrained. You were made to be rewarded, not restrained by unpopular opinion. In other words, if someone else, you're not here for so that you can be restrained, but somebody else can tell you what you can't do. You're here to be rewarded for what you can do. And then another way of looking at that, and I love this when I reread it and came up with it, is that you're not here to be restrained by, put it all together, unpopular. See, unpopular opinion can actually be a reward. For instance, when Muhammad Ali said, "I'm the greatest," that was unpopular opinion, said he shouldn't say that. But that was actually a reward for him. And it came to where they decided to recognize him. And hey, you know what? He always said that we didn't like it, but now we get it. He's the greatest. So that's what I'm saying. So there's that vocabulary again. You're not here to be restrained by unpopular opinion, being held back by somebody else's opinion, but you're also not here to be restrained by unpopular opinion. I'm sorry, and I messed that up. Unpopular opinion can also be a reward. So what is that also saying? That says that you have to be true to yourself. Because once you're true to yourself, there's always going to be someone who doesn't agree with what you're saying and what you're doing. And so you may have to be unpopular in your opinion to get what you want and to be able to share your gifts. So I'm not telling you just go out there and recklessly say no to everything, but I'm going out there and saying to you, stay focused and make sure that you deliver what you can deliver. So that's patiently allowing and cultivating empathy, where patience can be mistaken for procrastination. And then the next one I have for pace is pleased about our choices and empowerment. Wait, let me take a break. Let me look at some comments just in case to see if I need to say anything out about that. No. Oh, Vic, thank you. You good. All right. I just didn't know when you said peace out to everybody if you were leaving. Let me see if I need to add anything about, because I'm looking at the delayed and the time, the one that's on time, and see if there are any comments that I need to address. And there being none, I can move on. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Let me do this. I'm refreshing. What I'm doing is refreshing my other page where I can see your live comments versus this one where I'm getting a delay. So that way, in case you wanted me to slow down and say something and re-explain something, I'd be able to do that on live broadcast. But I'm glad to say we don't have to worry about that because we're rocking and rolling. Okay, so anyway, the next one, pleased about choices and empowerment. And what's that saying is, and it's one that you've heard me say before, trust your track record, laugh at your lack record. See, your faith is contagious and it helps someone else have the vision of themselves that they need to follow their path. So if you keep talking about your mistakes, you dampen their resolve. See, so what I'm saying is, as we step back and look at our work and become pleased with our accomplishments and what we've done, someone else needs us to do that because, oh, okay, yeah, that's who I believe in. Excuse me, and they trusted in themselves, so maybe I can trust in myself a little bit longer. But you have to be pleased with the choices that you make, because once you make a decision, someone else is going to feel empowered that they can make that decision. Once you say, no, look, watch me, I'm going to step on this now, and the trap is not going to go off. And then you step on it, you have just made a choice. I know that sounds small, but now you've empowered them to take that step. So in fact, I just thought of a better analogy. If you go into the world of entrepreneurship, someone says, yeah, it's going to be hard. And I can be someone right now. Entrepreneurship is not easy, but it's a step that you can take. And I think it's a great reward, and I highly recommend it. And by the way, because I always say, don't make a decision through anger. If you make a decision based on your anger, a lot of times you make a bad decision. Okay. But I didn't get into corporate America. I mean, I didn't leave corporate America like, oh, the heck with this, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. For me, it was a good decision based on, what would I like to do with my life? And I left on great terms. I got a lot of great friends still at the Wall Street Journal. I give them a shout out. It was a great company to work with. And I got a lot of good friends there. I did not leave out of any type of anger. And so if you left your company based on anger, I want you to go back and rethink how long it took for that to stew. Could you have left earlier to where you may not have to have that grudge? The answer may be no. Maybe, I'm not, remember, I'm telling you, I'm not worried about somebody else's research, but it's about yours. So it's always important to self-check so that you can find ways to eliminate anger from your life. Because if I can keep you angry, I can control you. So as you're constantly talking about who makes you angry and what you didn't like and what you didn't do and the mistakes that you made, you're giving them power over you. So if I'm constantly talking about the mistakes that I made, that means that I'm giving that mistake power because that's what I'm focusing on. I'm not focusing on my victories. I'm not celebrating myself. I'm slowing down my pacemaker, which is my heart. So really, be pleased about the choices that you make because you've made a lot of good choices. You made a lot of good choices and you've empowered a lot of people. They won't always get to thank you. We had that in my message last week where it says, actually, in fact, I do know. You won't always get to hear thank you from the people whose lives you make a difference in. And you shouldn't want to. You don't have to keep count. You just have to know that that's what you do. You have a gift that God has placed in you to develop for someone else. And you won't always get thanked by that person because maybe today, and I'll give you me as a speaker, maybe today you don't need my message. But tomorrow you rethink and say, oh, wait a minute. Now I see what he meant by that. And yeah, that does apply to me. Or maybe next week, or maybe next month, whenever it hits, that's when you need the message. And I'd like you to do that when you're a speaker as well, or in sales, and whatever your industry is. You're not here for everybody. So don't beat yourself down about the sale you didn't make, the person you didn't reach. They weren't yours. You just make sure that you're there for who needs you. Make sure, remember we are always choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you're being chosen as a messenger. So when someone chooses you as a messenger, have a pure message so that you can help them because you can't help the person who doesn't want your help. And so it really becomes important for us to find that way to just recalm ourselves, be pleased about our choices and the power we have to empower someone else. Why? Because as the streamer says, we all learn at a different pace. And maybe you just now figured that one out. Doesn't matter when you figure it out. All that matters is that you figure it out. Okay? All right. So thank you, Vic. Vic said, excellent. I'm listening. And you know what? I want to post that because that is the key, y'all. Listening is the number one communication skill. Listening, but then act. Listen and then act. And that's what we're going through with our world right now, especially in America, as we talk about diversity and the racial divide and what's going on with the policemen. We need, it's a tough choice, but we've got to be able to listen to both sides or all sides and not listening with vindictiveness. Oh, let me just let this hear what this crap they have to say. No, listen and say, oh, wow, I never looked at it that way. But you know what? That's one of the things I use television for. I'm actually not a big TV buff, but when I watch my shows, I'm looking at them for the lesson. Right now, I'm going to give a shout out to my new TV show that I'm liking. It's called The Good Doctor. And I never watched that. It's in its third season, but I had never watched it. I watched it, just checking it out last week, a week before last. And now I'm in the process of binging on it because I'm loving it. And what it's about, spoiler alert, what it's about is an autistic kid who becomes a doctor. And so, as you watch his autism and the pureness of his spirit and what he's doing, and you see how he's, molding himself into, society's normals, you get to see how he doesn't agree with what society does and how he does. And so I'm just getting a wonderful lesson from it, because it's a compassionate lesson. We automatically, a lot of times, and if you look at that research part of it earlier that I talked about, a lot of times we just put autism is retardation. So we just, push them to the side. And that's why I love this show, because it's showing the functionality of his autism and how it's a gift rather than a hindrance. And you can get that from different TV shows. It's just look at what you can see, what somebody else may be going through. And it's a tough thing to hold on to, but it's doable. It's doable. All right. So the next thing the last one I have for PACE is placing actions carefully and effectively. Placing actions carefully and effectively. Your actions. See, take more care in the next steps in your short and long-term goals. You've got short and long-term goals, but you have to place those actions carefully and effectively so that you can get there. Don't get so caught up in setting the long-term goal that you miss how important it is for you to make and meet the short-term goals. You can't make $100,000 if you don't first make $100. Okay, so I remember I used to always joke and say, yeah, I'm making six figures. And then I found out that you can't count the decimal point. That math will come to you sooner or later. All right, so make sure that you take careful care in each one of your steps. I'm in a mastermind group right now, and it's talking about goal setting, which is something that I need to work on. Y'all, I'm gonna be 65 in August. That's the goal, but I'm still working on goal setting. And that's what I say that to you, to say, you know what? It's never too late. It's never too early. Make your goal settings, and then you adjust them. You just adjust them according to how you are seeing things going on in your life. Make careful steps, and then make quality moves versus quantity moves. You don't have, this is what PACE is all about. You don't have to make a move because, they're making a move. It's got to, no, maybe, no, you know what? Let me let them go 2 or 3 moves before I make this next move for me. Make quality moves. The qualities of your moves will be much better than the quantity. Remember, you don't always have to be in visible motion. See, you got to say that sentence slow so it doesn't sound like you don't have to be invisible. You don't always have to be in visible motion. People may not see what you're doing. You don't have to be showing, but you should be thinking. You know what your PACE is. You add up all the other ones we just talked about: procrastination, patience, quality moves, the choices, and the empowerment. Those are things that you pace yourself, and you don't have to be seen in motion, but you have to be seen inside. Know inside, yes, this is what I'm doing to get where I need to go. And maybe I can't do it the way someone else is doing it. So I need to adjust my pace. Those of you, some of you have not, but remember, if you've received my, those of you who have had a birthday in this year, I always send my birthday salutations out. And what I always put on them is appreciating that PACE is not a race. I always have a theme for my birthdays, but and I change the theme every time mine's hit. So August. So if you had a birthday since last August, you've gotten a birthday message from me that ended by saying that you have to appreciate that PACE is not a race. Pace yourself through your new 365, and it was 366 this year based on leap year, and don't bother subtracting the this is really, COVID has been just 2 days because it's been a long day like Groundhog Day, right? But no, you got 366 days to celebrate. Celebrate you, and it's a pace. It's not a race. You're not trying to hurry up to get to your next birthday. Enjoy this one. Even like one thing you'll never see from me is happy belated birthday, because I don't see myself as late. I always will say, not late, because you'll be this blessing all year. Aren't you going to be your age all year for a whole 365 or 366? So I decide not to be, that I'm not late. If are you not celebrating your birthday just because it's a day later and a week later and a month later, you're not still celebrating? I'm celebrating me nonstop. In fact, one of the things that I just finished teaching my two great nieces a couple of weeks ago, and I might have said something about it, but just in case I didn't, they get a shout out again anyway, Damani and Layla. But I taught them how their birth date, whatever the number on the calendar is, Layla's birthday is January 27th. And so I said, oh, well, I'm a 27th also because I'm August 27th. I say, so every 27th, I celebrate being a month older. And so I taught her, I said, so how old will you be on February 27th? And she said, oh, I'll be 8 and 1 month. And Damani's birthday is October 12th. So I taught her, so how old will you be on December 12th? I'll be 8 and 2 months. And so it became good because then they had to practice their months. They had to practice their addition, their subtraction. And so, but it's also giving them another reason to celebrate and recognize that pace is not a race. You just have to take your time. Okay, so if you're sharing, pace your path with peace. That's the most important thing I think you want to have on your path is peace. If you're sharing and shining your life from a place of love, you don't have to apologize nor regret any of your actions. And that's what pace is all about. You don't have to apologize for your actions. Whatever you did was what you were supposed to do at that time based on the information you had. Would you do it again? Maybe, maybe not. But do you have to put it in the category of regret? No, you don't. All you have to do is say, I will do things differently. Okay. So what I decided to do, I want to actually read something it's just somewhat from scripture, but many of you know that the Bible I read is called the Touch Point Living Bible. And what they have in the back, they call it a help finder. So if you have a topic you want to find out where it is in the Bible, you can look back here and it just lists these different topics and you can go there and find a word. So I went and looked, pace was not in here. So I went to patience. And here's what it says about patience. And it gives this modern day description before giving you scripture. Patience. If you've ever spent 2 hours stuck in rush hour traffic or held a crying baby at 2 a.m., you know something about patience. According to the Bible, patience is a form of perseverance and forbearance that allows us to respond to frustrating circumstances with grace and self-control. Contrary to popular opinion, patience is not merely a personality trait, but is a byproduct of the presence and work of the Holy Spirit in the heart and mind of the believer. So again, you can go back and apply that to what we talked about, patience being mistaken for procrastination. Patience is a gift. And but the scripture, it gives actually 6 different scriptures, but it ends by saying God's promise, and that is waiting for God's timing brings great rewards. Lamentations 3:25. Patience is about waiting for God's timing. We learned in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It's thy will be done. So are you willing to wait for God's will and try to be non-judgmental while it's happening? Very hard to do. Very hard to do. I'm not slapping your wrist, but I'm making you aware that when you run into those spots where you feel like the patience is just not working for you, just take a breath and realize that it's working in God's time. And you are here to serve in God's time. And it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. So what I want to do as I close this out is just remind you, if you haven't registered, I've got my Masters of Change, Embracing Success's Challenge, because even as we talk about pace, we need to look at how we deal with success. So this session is tomorrow on Zoom, and in my feed also is the link for you to register if you haven't. And I think, we're going to have a good time. I'm going to be talking about choices tomorrow, about the choices that we make in life. So, but I want to just give you one more reminder, though, that what I shared from you were from my Ac-Firmations and from my Starting Today book. Both of those are available on my website, Sporty at www.sportyking.com. If you don't have your copy, free autograph with each purchase. Don't ever forget that. It's there for you. But remember that it's so important. If you've got anything you need to send me, you can just email me at sporty@sportyking.com. And most important thing I want you to do is remember to wear your mask, because it's going to make a difference as you share and enjoy people's lives. Wear your mask. That's something that you can pace yourself and allow us to have a better pace, a pace of longevity. Okay. What's the name of the show? Oh, The Good Doctor. The Good Doctor. Thank you, Vic. And I caught that one. The Good Doctor. Yeah, it's a TV show. I'm not sure what channel it comes on because I look at it off the Fire Stick. But The Good Doctor is now one of my favorite shows. Okay. So thanks again. I want to put peace up there from Vic as we sign out to everybody. And I hope and I know you're going to have a blessed day. You just have to decide to look for the blessings and pace yourself to enjoy them. Over and out. Ciao.